All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. We turn our attention to the ANC's 104th birthday celebrations and the January 8th statement. We do know that the 8th of January is tomorrow, it's on Friday, but on Saturday we have the celebrations and the reading out of the statement by President Jacob Zuma. So joining us now is our reporter on the ground. He'll be covering the proceedings for us, Tumaole Mohlaoli. A very good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. Tumi, the heat wave that is spread throughout the country has not gone unnoticed in Rustenburg, and I understand that it is also affecting the proceedings there.
Absolutely. Good morning to you, Ayanda. It is absolutely sweltering here in Rustenburg. Temperatures way above 35 degrees. Yesterday peaking at around 38. It is absolutely unbearable, and it has somehow affected proceedings in terms of the ANC's planned mobilization ahead of the January 8th statement, which of course will be delivered on January 9th, coinciding with the ANC's anniversary celebrations as well. However, ANC senior NEC members have been out in full force, of course mindful of the heat and trying to do their best to drum up support and mobilize people. The local community services here in terms of emergency services, as well as the South African police services, also on high alert in terms of being on standby, because there's a big influx of people that is expected. However, emergency services making sure to make the message and the plea to people to basically come out to the stadium early on and try to be as still as possible, try to get as much shelter as they can, and to stay rehydrated, because this heat wave is expected to go into the weekend, so it's going to be quite a scorcher.
And do we know whether or not it will affect the program at all? I suppose only time will tell. We'll have to see on the actual day, but we do understand that President Jacob Zuma is the only one who's going to take to the podium, and they're going to try and expedite the process as much as possible so as not to leave people in that stadium, the Royal Bafokeng Stadium, that's not covered for too long. Any indication as to whether or not they'll adjust the program because of the heat?
Well, Ayanda, at this stage, the NEC of the ANC, all they're willing to say is that apart from cutting down the program in terms of the address by President Zuma to make sure that people aren't out in the elements as long or for a shorter time as possible, there isn't much indication that the rest of the program will be adjusted. However, the NEC has been holding various meetings on the outskirts and in the build-up to Saturday's main event, and there is expected to be some announcements as to whether they will move the time or not. Of course, right across here in Rustenburg, there are posters advertising and appealing to people. In fact, the NEC members were out in the communities rallying support yesterday. We also saw, of course, Human Settlements Minister Lindiwe Sisulu and other NEC members, including Nomvula Mukunyane, going out to Marikana and handing over some housing developments that have been developed there, and of course sending the message for people to come out in their droves. However, this issue of the heat has also been high up on the agenda, because the ANC NEC is putting the final touches onto the January 8th statement, a statement that comes with the rest of the country looking very closely to the content, and of course there's so many issues. Tensions also abound, and it was a very tense NEC meeting that was playing out, and that continues because, of course, the ANC January 8th statement will inform government policy. So the senior ANC members making sure, in terms of the NEC's representatives, that the ANC January 8th statement speaks to the issues of the country. We will wait to find out, though, coming back to your original question, whether or not the program will be either adjusted to move earlier or later. However, I do know that officials were saying they're reluctant to make it move later because, of course, some people coming from around surrounding communities rely on public transportation. So this will affect their movement in getting to the stadium. But these issues will be thrashed out over the next couple of days. We are expecting a briefing from the NEC anytime soon to let us know exactly what the way forward will be.
I just want to zone in on something that you mentioned a little bit earlier as part of the mobilization programs. I'm not sure if it was related because statements subsequent to the fact said that this was a government program. But that incident in Marikana, we saw Lindiwe Sisulu, the minister there, apparently surrounded also by the Premier of the Northwest Province, Mr. Tumaole Mohlaoli, and a lot of talk as to whether or not we had expected President Jacob Zuma to be the one who gave those houses out, and whether or not he was told not to do so as the situation was not conducive. Economic freedom fighters or some people in the community dissatisfied with the way things were going, threatening to take over those houses because they were allocated to ANC members, and then counteracts, people saying no, the people who got the houses applied for it. So there was a lot of tension around that. Just update us regarding that, please.
Yes, absolutely, and you've really spoken to the issue very succinctly there. There's a lot of tension surrounding the issue of Marikana itself. We know that, of course, with the tragedy unfolding there, with police shooting the striking miners there, so the atmosphere is still very, very, very much politicized. And what was initially intended to be an event that was supposed to offer some reprieve and be an act of service delivery on behalf of government. Of course, when I say on behalf of government, having the Premier there and the ANC there, it also blurred the lines a bit. It became a party state event. However, because of the tensions and the history of Marikana and what happened and what transpired, the community absolutely up in arms, saying that the issue of beneficiation, who was selected and who got the houses. One of the issues that came up was the fact that residents felt that those who were beneficiaries weren't necessarily residents of Marikana. So there was a lot of politicking happening there, and Housing Minister Lindiwe Sisulu and her delegation did their best to try and calm tensions. They didn't want a situation where the mood became explosive. However, it did obviously boil over. Luckily, it didn't become anything too drastic and overshadow what is meant to be a very, very positive and very, very strong ANC January 8th statement. When I spoke to ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe, he basically highlighted the fact that this January 8th statement, given the surrounding tensions around in terms of the economy, in terms of the drought, as you highlighted when you introduced me here with the sweltering temperatures and the impact it's had on the economy and local residents, of course the issue of the housing and service delivery highlighted by Marikana will be key in terms of what the president has to lay out. This is why it was so tense in that NEC meeting. And of course, there has been much criticism in terms of how the year ended with President Jacob Zuma doing the cabinet reshuffle in terms of the finance ministry, which had a negative impact on the economy. So all these issues have created a sort of a pressure cooker environment. President Jacob Zuma himself will not be attending, as far as we know. The program keeps changing by the second in terms of the rallying, in terms of mobilizing, and I think that will be basically he will be focusing strongly on delivering the January 8th statement and speaking to the issues of the country, which is what is expected. Some of the NEC members saying they will be looking to the president to speak to the issues and give some direction and leadership as is expected from January 8th statement.
So there are a lot of issues surrounding the ANC, surrounding the issues in the country, etc. But let's talk about intra-party politics now. We do believe that there were some divisions that the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa had to attend to try and bring about a climate of peace among politicians in the ANC in the Northwest Province under the leadership of Tumaole Mohlaoli. Talk to us a little bit about that and what that was about.
Yes, absolutely. And so Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa held a meeting here in Rustenburg. That was a meeting with the provincial ANC structures, but it was also attended by officials from the tripartite alliance within the region and within the province. And key on this meeting, or what came out from the meeting, was the issue of divisions, the issue of cliques forming, and the issue of unity, especially with the alliance trying to form a strong guard, because you would understand that in the Northwest, this is one of the key areas that the ANC is looking to reconsolidate its support base. Traditionally, a very, very strong ANC stronghold. But with the local government elections, the ANC is really looking not to take anything for granted. We've seen, of course, the EFF making strong headway on the issue of service delivery, on the issue of jobs. The Northwest itself, largely agricultural and mining economy-based province. So the issue of the economic recession and how it has impacted that, and the drought, has led to many, many people losing their jobs, many, many people being affected on an economic sense. So this was the issue that has been playing out, and the alliance basically saying we cannot allow to have basic individuals as well as party divisions playing out and weakening the ANC ahead of the crucial election process. They need to speak in one voice, and they need to make sure that unity is the key. Of course, this theme of unity has one that has been resounding quite consistently when you look at the alliance itself, because if you cast your mind back last year to the COSATU Congress, COSATU came out very strongly, even though COSATU itself is facing very many challenges. When the ANC President Jacob Zuma came to address them, he again echoed this issue of unity. So unity seems to be one of the biggest challenges with the various factions within both the tripartite alliance and the ANC, making life very difficult in terms of divisions and in terms of weakening the party to the benefit of the opposition.
Tumaole, let's leave it there, at least for now. I know that we will be chatting throughout the course of the weekend as we continue to unpack the January 8th statement. Let me let you go get some shade in a suit and a tie there. It must be absolutely hot, hot, hot. All right, Tumaole Mohlaoli bringing us a live update there from Rustenburg. And he's part of the team that's out there. And Aldrin Sampier is also there. And Morning Live will be broadcasting from there as well on Saturday. So plenty of coverage for you. But let's stay